Hello, dear friends. Welcome to our Stoic corner of the world, a place where we cultivate inner calm, build mental strength, and learn to navigate life's storms with grace. Today, we're diving into a topic that, I'd wager, almost every one of us has faced: insults. Yes, those barbed words that sting, that make our cheeks flush, our hearts race, and sometimes even derail our day. Why talk about insults? Because in our relationships, in our social media feeds, even in casual conversations, we encounter them. And each time we do, we're invited to react, to fight back, to shrink away, or to stand tall. The Stoic approach offers a path not only to resilience, but to transformation. Could it be that what feels like a wound is an invitation to practice virtue? Let's explore together. Part 1. Understanding the nature of insult. Have you ever paused to consider what lies at the heart of an insult? In Stoic eyes, an insult is nothing more than a loose assembly of sounds, a pattern of air vibrations shaped into words utterly neutral until our minds assign them a meaning and let them bruise us. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, urges us to remember, if someone does wrong, it is because they are mistaken about good and evil. Our hurt does not stem from the words themselves, but from the judgment we cast upon them. When someone flings a cruel epithet, we instinctively contract, our breathing shallows and emotions surge. But pause for a moment, observe that initial contraction as a signal rather than a command. Epictetus taught that men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take upon them. Here lies our freedom, in choosing whether to embrace or reject that emotional surge. In other words, an insult has power only if we grant it power. Look more deeply. What is it we crave? Approval, esteem, a sense of worth. An insult threatens to rob us of these, leaving us feeling diminished. But Stoicism places our self-worth within our domain, our judgments, our character, our virtues. Seneca reminds us, dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them. If you anchor your worth in what is internal, what is external, a passing insult cannot uproot you. Let us humanize the insulter for a moment. Often, those who project aggression are wrestling with fear, inadequacy, or pain. Marcus Aurelius again counsels, whenever you are offended at someone's fault, turn to yourself and reflect in what similar manner you may be guilty. This isn't to excuse the insult, but to open empathy's door, understanding that their barbs speak more about their own struggles dissolves the insult's sting. Emotionally, you might still feel the jab. Practically, the moment of impact is your invitation to exercise your Stoic training. Notice the sensation, the heat in your face, the quickening heartbeat. Label it. Here is anger, or here is hurt. Labeling creates distance, transforming a reactive wave into an object of observation. Through this simple act, you step outside the maelstrom. By dissecting insults with philosophical clarity, recognizing their neutrality, questioning your judgments, grounding self-worth internally, and extending understanding to the speaker, you reclaim your peace. No longer buffeted by the tides of external opinion, you stand firm in the harbor of your reason. This deeper awareness is the first brick in the fortress we build against every future assault. Part 2. The dichotomy of control. Picture a grand river flowing relentlessly toward the sea. You cannot will it to change course, yet you can choose where to stand, how to navigate its banks, and whether to build a bridge or let the current pass beneath. In Stoicism, this river symbolizes the torrent of external events, insults among them beyond our power to prevent. Epictetus, in his Enchiridion, draws this line clearly: some things are within our control, and some are not. Our task is to discern one from the other with unclouded vision. Insults, by their nature, reside squarely outside our dominion. The words spoken, the tone chosen, and the intent behind them are governed by another's will. Yet, our judgments, attitudes, and actions are ours to command. Marcus Aurelius, calmly observing the theater of human affairs in Meditations, reminds himself, choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. Here's the Stoic fulcrum. The locus of control shifts from the external to the internal. Imagine hearing a biting remark. Your first reflex might be shock or indignation, a thunderclap in your mind. But consider this practice. Step into the role of a careful observer. Ask yourself, Which part of this situation do I truly control? You control your breath, your next thought, and your decision to react or remain still. You do not control the other person's words, nor the past that shaped them. Seneca warns us in his letters, we suffer more often in our imagination than in reality. By dwelling on what you can change your response, you deflate imagined harms before they grow. Emotional resonance swells when we realize how liberating this insight can be. No longer a ship tossed by the wind, you become the pilot steering a steady course. Pause and breathe into your diaphragm. Feel the connection to the present moment. This simple act reclaims your agency, reminding you that power over self is the greatest power of all. But applying the dichotomy is not a one-time flick of a switch, it's a muscle to be trained. Practice daily. When a friend's sarcastic barb lands, note mentally, this is outside my control. Then focus on your internal choices. When self-criticism rises, calling yourself inadequate, recognize it as another external insult from within, and redirect attention to what you can nurture, your values, your actions, your thoughts. Emotionally, this work feels like shedding a heavy cloak. Each time you release an insult into the domain of externals, you lighten your load. Gradually, you build resilience so that even a torrent of harsh words becomes a passing drizzle, noticeable but harmless dot in the flow of life's river. Let the Stoic dichotomy of control be your compass. Each time you pause, reflect, and realign your focus inward, you are practicing freedom. Remember Epictetus' final charge: if you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. By relinquishing fear of judgment, you reclaim sovereignty over your mind and heart. Part 3. Reframing and perception. Our thoughts are like artists, continually painting stories over the canvas of experience. When a stinging word lands a label of failure or weak, we instinctively let it seep into our self-narrative, rehearsing its chorus in endless loops. But what if we became conscious of the brushstrokes? What if, in that moment, we interrupted the narrative and took up the palette ourselves? Epictetus, ever the master of mental mastery, invites us in his discourses to question our interpretations. Don't demand that events happen as you wish, but wish they happen as they do, and you will enjoy tranquility. When insulted, notice the story you're telling yourself. Are you translating a stranger's offhand remark into an existential verdict? This leap from isolated word to global judgment is where suffering takes root. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, offers a powerful reversal. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Consider the insult as an obstacle, a mirror held up to your perceptions. Rather than recoiling, lean in and ask, what does this show me about my mind, about my triggers? By reframing the insult as data, you transform it from a blow to your self-worth into a clue for growth. Seneca, too, urges us to examine our inner commentary. In his letters, he writes, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. How much of our precious mental space do we squander on rehearsing jabs we did not choose? Reframing means deciding that our time is too valuable to yield to every barb. Instead, we sift through the emotional residue, retaining only what serves our understanding. Emotionally, this practice ignites a sense of agency. You might feel the initial pang, a tightening in your chest, yet as you consciously reframe, that pang softens into curiosity. What if the insult is less about you and more about the speaker's own turmoil? Marcus Aurelius admonished himself, whenever you are offended at someone's fault, turn to yourself and reflect in what similar manner you may be guilty. This inward turn does not excuse the other's harshness. Rather, it invites empathy and neutralizes the charge of the insult. Pragmatically, begin with a simple verbal cue: reframe. When you hear the insult, label it, and then ask 3 questions. What is the factual content of what was said? What judgments am I adding? What alternate, more constructive interpretation can I choose? For instance, if you're branded unfocused, you could reframe, perhaps I need to clarify my priorities, or this person feels jealous of my efforts. Each reinterpretation chips away at the emotional charge through deliberate reframing. You build a habit of transforming every lash into a lesson. Insults no longer sharpen against your spirit. They dissolve beneath the light of clear-eyed inquiry. You become, as Seneca described the wise person, An unshakable observer comfortably mid criticism, steadfast in your virtue. By mastering perception, recognizing narrative leaps, questioning judgments, and choosing constructive interpretations, you free yourself from the tyranny of others' words. This alchemy of mind turns insult into insight, pain into power, and reaction into wisdom. Part 4. Practicing empathy and compassion. How often have you found yourself reeling from an insult, ready to strike back with equal force, only to later regret your words? In Stoicism, compassion is not a weakness, but a testament to inner strength. Epictetus encourages us in his discourses to view others' missteps through a lens of understanding. When someone acts unjustly, remember that they err from ignorance, not malice. With each insult we receive, we have the opportunity to practice this compassionate stance. Begin by recognizing that every harsh word issued by another is tangled in their fears, unmet needs, or past wounds. Marcus Aurelius, observing the human tapestry, reminds us in Meditations, be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. This tension, gentleness toward the speaker, rigor in holding yourself to your values cultivates a balanced heart. When the barb lands, take a breath and silently remind yourself that the person before you is likely grappling with inner turmoil. Imagine standing in their shoes. What turmoil might drive someone to lash out? Perhaps anxiety, insecurity, or yesterday's disappointment. Seneca, in his letters, counsels us, wherever there is a human being, there's an opportunity for kindness. If you can recall a time when frustration or pain caused you to lash out unknowingly, you can extend that same mercy outward. Now, let us practice a simple yet powerful exercise, the silent wish. Upon hearing the insult, pause, close your eyes, if you can, and offer a gentle thought. May you find peace. Feel how this shift in intention softens the grip of anger on your chest. It does not mean you condone what was said, but you refuse to be chained to resentment. Emotionally, this practice feels counterintuitive. Your first impulse is to defend, to justify, but Stoic compassion asks you to respond from your higher self, not your reactive self. As you cultivate empathy, notice how your heartbeat slows, your shoulders release tension, and your voice finds steadiness. This physiological response reinforces the emotional transformation. From wounded pride to solid calm, Marcus Aurelius writes, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." When you meet insult with compassion, you claim the moral high ground, not to elevate yourself, but to remain true to your inner values. Compassion also opens the door to constructive dialogue. Instead of retaliating, you might ask, "Are you all right? Is something troubling you?" Such questions can disarm hostility and invite honesty. Even if the other person remains distant, you have acted with integrity and preserved your tranquility. Let this practice extend beyond personal affronts to online comments, to casual jabs from acquaintances, and even to your inner critic. When a negative thought about yourself arises, respond with the same empathy. May I learn from this, or may I grow stronger. You transform every insult, internal or external, into a chance for self-compassion and collective understanding. By embracing empathy and compassion, you weave threads of kindness through the fabric of conflict. In doing so, you remain rooted in Stoic clarity and grace, unshaken by the tides of harshness. Part 5. Responding with equanimity. Equanimity is the beacon of calm that guides us through life's storms, the unshakable center of our being when words and emotions swirl like a tempest. Stoic teachers place great emphasis on cultivating this inner tranquility. As Marcus Aurelius counsels in Meditations, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength in the moment of insult. Remember that strength resides in the space between stimulus and response, the precious instant where choice resides. When a sharp remark strikes, your instinct may be to react either with fire or with freeze. Instead, practice the Stoic pause. Label the sensation. This is annoyance, or this is hurt. Epictetus reminds us in the Discourses, if you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them. By naming the feeling, you detach from its grip, converting raw emotion into an object for observation. Imagine yourself as a calm lake. Even if a stone is cast onto its surface, the water ripples briefly and then settles back into stillness. This is your ideal brief. Natural disturbance followed by repose. How do you train for this? Through micro practices. During your day, invite small provocations, perhaps glance at a challenging social media post or recall an old grievance, then consciously choose serenity. Breathe deeply, soften your shoulders, and affirm silently, I remain unshaken. Each repetition deepens the groove of calm in your psyche. Seneca offers a potent reflection in his letters. No man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity. Insults, like other external blows, should neither exalt nor shame us. When you reply, let your words resonate with your virtues: honesty, courage, respect. If you choose to speak, consider a response such as, I understand your perspective, or I will reflect on what you've said. Even brief acknowledgement demonstrates that you govern the tone, neither reflexive nor passive, but composed. Emotions may still flicker, the flutter in your chest, the heat in your cheeks. Rather than ignoring these signals, welcome them as messengers. Observe, here is anger, but do not follow their lead. As Marcus Aurelius asserts, know where you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your soul. You own this sanctuary. Protect it by refusing to let insults dictate your inner climate. The true test of equanimity emerges over time as insults accumulate like raindrops. Without practice, the drops eventually flood us. But when we habitually pause, label, breathe, and choose, the drops slide off like water on lotus petals. This resilience becomes automatic, a quiet confidence that even when tensions rise around you, you stand firm. In your journey toward equanimity, record each encounter: what insult rose, how you felt, and how you responded. Review these notes weekly, celebrating moments of composure and learning from slip-ups. Through this ongoing reflection, you anchor equanimity not as an abstract ideal, but as your lived reality. Part 6. Building Inner Fortitude. De Litru. Stoic fortitude isn't a fleeting epiphany, but the product of persistent, intentional practice. It grows in the ordinary moments, the breath you take upon waking, the silent self-examination before sleep, and every encounter with adversity that you meet with steady resolve. Marcus Aurelius urged himself daily. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work like a human being. What do I have to complain about? If I'm going to do what I was born for. In this simple instruction, we glimpse the essence of building inner strength, seeing challenges as our appointed tasks. Begin each morning with a brief reflection. Before your feet touch the floor, recall last night's trials, emotional stings, harsh words, moments you felt shaken, and acknowledge them. Then set your intention. Today, whatever comes, I will remain calm. This ritual seeds the day with quiet determination and reminds you that adversity is the forge of character. Throughout the day, journal discreetly. Whenever an unkind comment lands, pause and note the details: what was said, how it landed in your body, and how you responded. Seneca advised in his letters, for what is a man without self-control but a drunken man? By observing without judgment, you strengthen the mind's ability to stand apart, to monitor impulses, and to course correct gently. Practice occasional voluntary discomfort to steel your spirit. Epictetus taught that training under controlled hardship prepares you for real trials. For example, step outside without a coat on a chilly morning, or fast from social media for a day. These deliberate embraces of mild discomfort build resilience so that when someone's words assail you, you meet them with a calm, practiced mind rather than panic. Cultivate a nightly review, the examine in modern terms. Before sleep, revisit each instance where you felt insulted or provoked. Did you maintain composure? Did your mind cling to resentment? Celebrate each moment of maturity and plan for improvement where you slipped. This compassionate audit, guided by Seneca's reminder that no man was ever wise by chance, gradually chisels away unhelpful habits. Emotionally, this rhythm creates a reservoir of calm. Each practiced pause and reflection is like adding water to a well. Over time, you have ample to draw from when parched by conflict. Notice how, as days pass, the weight of insults feels lighter, each one glancing off the fortified walls you've built. Anchoring this daily discipline is the Stoic conviction that true power rests within. As Marcus Aurelius put it, The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. By intentionally shaping your mornings, your responses, and your evenings, you claim authorship of your mental landscape. Insults become neither monsters to slay nor chains to bind, but mere ripples on the surface of a deep, unwavering sea. Part 7. Transforming insults into invitations. Every insult you face carries within it a hidden summons, a prompt to deepen your practice of virtue. The Stoics saw adversity, even in the form of verbal barbs, as the very material out of which character is forged. Marcus Aurelius urged himself in Meditations, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. When someone degrades you with words, view that degradation not as an end, but as an invitation, a call to demonstrate the qualities you most wish to cultivate. Begin by identifying exactly what the insult targets. Are you called arrogant? That word shines a spotlight on humility. Are you branded selfish? Here lies an opening to express generosity. Epictetus, in the Enchiridion, reminds us to bear trials with a calm mind robs misfortune of its strength and burden. In practice, when an insult labels you, immediately ask, how can I embody its opposite? This simple reframing transforms a wound into a challenge, a jab into a rallying cry. Consider a specific scenario. A colleague accuses you of coldness. Your first impulse might be to bristle or explain, but instead, pause and reflect. What acts of warmth can I perform today? Perhaps you offer genuine praise. Reach out to ask about their well-being, or listen without judgment. In doing so, you not only disarm the original insult, but also nourish your soul and elevate the tone of the exchange. Seneca teaches in his letters, true happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future. Turning an insult into an invitation means shifting focus from the hurtful past to the constructive present. You are not chained to the insulter's intent. You are free to act by your highest values. Emotionally, this shift feels like stepping from the shadows into the light, transforming resentment into resolve. The power of this practice deepens when you journal about each incident. Write down the insult, your initial emotional response, and then the virtue you chose to exercise in reply. Over time, patterns emerge. Repeated provocations in certain areas reveal where your growth edge lies. Seneca's counsel applies. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. By grounding yourself in the actionable steps you took, you quell imagined wounds and affirm your agency. On a visceral level, you might still sense a tremor when you recall the insult. Embrace that tremor as a signpost marking fertile ground for growth. Breathe into it, infusing it with your intention. May this feeling guide me toward strength. Each breath becomes a vow to turn offense into opportunity. Finally, share this transformation with others. When you speak of the insult, recount not only the hurt, but also the virtue you practiced. Your witness becomes a beacon, encouraging listeners to treat their slights as invitations to excellence. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Through your lived example, you show that true power lies not in words that hurt, but in actions that heal. As we draw to a close, remember this: you are the ultimate arbiter of meaning. Insults themselves hold no dominion. Judgment gives them life. By embracing the Stoic path, recognizing the dichotomy of control, reframing perceptions, extending compassion, and practicing equanimity, you transform what once wounded into an opportunity to stand taller in your integrity. I encourage you, in the coming week, to notice each time you feel provoked. Pause, reflect, and choose your response with intention. Write it down. Notice the strength that blooms within. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. If you found value in our time together, please like, share, and subscribe so we can continue exploring the Stoic way side by side. Until next time, keep your mind tranquil and your spirit unshaken. Farewell, my friends.